Okay, what's up, everybody? Well, I can't even say everybody because I don't expect anybody to be watching this right now, like zero people. In New York, it is 12:42 a.m., but I just happen to be up. I mean, it's summertime, and I absolutely love the summer. I love the warm weather, and it's a difference doesn't make. I can go to bed as late as I want and wake up as late as I want because it's summertime. Anyway, I called this Leica T, not for me. And what I'm talking about is this camera, the Leica T, okay? So I bought this recently. Now, I'm gonna look it up really quick, okay? Now, this camera came out 4 years ago, the Leica T, and it came out at a price of $1,800 when it was new, $1,800. And unlike all other digital products, Leicas tend to hold their value very well. So if you were to buy it now KEH is a place that I like to buy used camera gear from, KEH.com. Been using them for 15 years or so. Right now, if you want to buy a Leica T from KEH, it will cost you $650, $650, all right? I got this for $375. So it's basically half the price of what KEH is charging, especially when you consider it came with something very special. It came with an extra battery. Now, on a lot of cameras, that would not be that big a deal. You say, so what? You got an extra battery. Go buy another battery. What's up, Sydney? I'm talking about a camera, man. I don't know if this is going to be interesting to you, but what's up? I'm surprised you're not working out. Anyway, look, the battery for this camera costs $140, $140. Now, anytime you buy a camera, you're going to need two batteries. So to get this camera with an extra battery really bumped up how much it was worth because, again, I have a $140 battery that came with the camera. So for $375 to get this camera with the extra battery, and it came with one other thing as well. The Leica is a weird camera. You can only use their strap, this kind of weird, rubbery, goofy-looking strap. That's the only thing you're allowed to use with this camera because of the way it connects. But mine came with the attachment that you have to buy separately that does allow you to put a regular camera strap on. So that's probably worth 40 or 50 bucks, knowing Leica. So I got a really good deal on the camera. And it's an interesting camera. It's metal. Well, it's like a metal and it's one piece of metal. So everything that you see that's silver is carved out of one piece of metal. And it just looks really cool and it feels really cool. Now, I figured this camera would be a nice contrast to the M10 because this is one of my favorite cameras. I love this thing. And with this camera, it's very dial oriented. You have your aperture ring here, your shutter speed, and your ISO dial here. Okay, so it's very tactile camera, very simple, with just a few controls here. What's up, Bianca? I'm talking about a camera. I don't know. I hope this is interesting to you if you stick around for this. It's really just technical camera talk, though. Sometimes I talk about other stuff. It's not all technical camera stuff. And I think it might be of more interest to like a general audience, but this is really a camera thing. But now the Leica T is interesting because look at this. It has a button here, which is your shutter, two dials, and let's look at the back. Watch this. Nothing. There are no buttons on the back of this camera at all. So this camera, everything on the Leica T is done through a menu like this, and it's a touch menu. So I'm not that good with it still. And I'm not going to be good at it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, you have these menus like this. They're a little tricky to figure out how to set them and stuff. But, again, no one's ever done a camera like this ever. There's not a single button on the back of this camera, nothing. There are two dials, a shutter dial, a shutter button, and that's it on the camera. So I thought it'd be cool to have this. You know, I'm thinking you've got the M10, which has a very retro design. The M10 looks just like an M4 from World War II or whatever year an M4 came out. And then you've got this Leica T that's the ultimate of a modern camera where it's a touch screen and there are no buttons at all and just two little dials. So I'm like, this is going to be really cool. Have these two different types of cameras and you can put the EVF on the camera here so that you can see this through an eyepiece. And I have the EVF because it's the same one from the M10. I'm like, this is going to be great. The price was incredible. And I should add, especially since my wife just joined, she's away right now. So I should mention this because if you're just joining Tamara, which I know you are, I bought this camera for $375. Okay, it's very cheap. Trust me. I went through that already on the video. But look, I was going to sell the Fuji XE1, which I figure I can get 150 bucks for. And this is a camera that I use my Leica lenses on also as kind of a second Leica. That's why I have this little adapter on it to put the Leica lenses on it. So I figured, you know, subtract the 150 I get for this camera, put it to that camera, and I got the Leica T for like 150 or $200. But here's the thing. I'm not keeping this camera. It's going back for sale. It's going up for sale. And I'm going to show you why. There's a couple of little flaws in the camera that for me made it unusable. So these are in no particular order, but here is one of them. Now, Leicas tend to not have a great buffer. You know, on a regular camera like a Sony a6000 or my Nikons, you can just shoot forever and everything's cool. You don't hit the buffer. It doesn't happen anymore in 2018. It used to happen a long time ago. Leicas, I think so many people buy them and they just look at them because this is a gorgeous camera. So like they buy the camera and then they just take pictures of the camera. If you go to Instagram and search the hashtag Leica, I'm telling you 30 to 40% of the hashtag Leica is just pictures of the camera. People just like to look at them. They don't want to use them. So because they don't use them, they don't put the demands on Leica to do what Leica needs to do to make some of these cameras into more professional tools or more effective tools sometimes. So the buffer has been bad on a lot of Leicas, and this one has a bad buffer. So let's watch this. If I go to take a picture, okay, this is going to be a picture of nothing, but watch. I'm going to go to continuous. I'm going to take a few pictures. Listen. Oh, I should put it here so you can hear it. Watch. All right, I got through about 12 pictures, and look, the screen is locked, see? I can't see what I'm doing now to take another picture. Still, now I can see to take another picture. Now, while the screen was blocked off while it was writing the files, eventually you can take a picture, but you can't see what you're doing. So watch, I'm going to do it again. 10 or 12 pictures now. Okay, now watch. I can't see anything, but I could take a picture. See? I can still sort of shoot, but I can't see what I'm doing. Now, for me, that's a deal breaker because I tend to be pretty heavy on the shutter. And I know when we first went digital, 20 years ago, whatever, the question was always like, how many pictures do you shoot? And people used to ask that because in the film days, it was a big deal and no one shot a ton of film pictures because every time you pushed a button, you were spending money. So people didn't really spend a whole lot of money on, didn't want to shoot hundreds and hundreds of images. But as soon as we went digital, it didn't matter. You could shoot 1,000, you could shoot 100. It didn't cost you any more. It cost you time, but it didn't cost you money. So for me, I've always been heavy on a trigger. I don't care how many pictures I shoot. I shoot as many as I want. I don't care. But if I use a camera like this, I'm going to hit that buffer constantly. And it's very frustrating when you want to take a picture and you can't. And it's not understandable that on a camera that came out in 2014 at 16 megapixels, which is not super high, it's not understandable why you can't give it a buffer to just let you shoot whenever you want to shoot. So the buffer is a huge problem for me with this camera and probably not the number one, that would be the number 2 reason why I'm not keeping it. Maybe this is like a countdown in reverse. So here's the number 1 reason I'm not keeping it. So let's take a look at the M10 for a second. So if I use the M10, what's up? Is that a goodbye, Queen Bianca Brooks? I don't know. I see the wave. Maybe that means like you're leaving the stream. I don't know. But anyway, so if I take the M10 over here, right? It's going to be hard for you guys to see it, but when I manually focus this camera, which is the only way you can use it is manual focus. When I manually focus it, 2 things happen. First, it enlarges the image. So let's get it. So here, this is not enlarged. And as I start to turn it, it enlarges. You see that? Which makes it easy to focus because now the ceiling is large and it's very easy to see what I'm shooting. I'm let it go back to not enlarged. If I go here, probably. Okay, see, that's not enlarged. I turn the focusing ring. You can't see me, but I'm going to turn the focusing ring and it's going to enlarge what I'm looking at. Okay, like that. It's a picture on the wall there. Now, the second thing it does to help you focus is it has peaking, is what it's called. And it's hard to see it on the phone, of course, but it turns red when it's in focus, somewhere about here. Maybe you can see it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you can see that it turns red. The outline of that picture on the wall turns red when it's in focus. And that's a good focus aid because you know when it turns red, whatever is red is in focus. It's looking at the contrast in the scene. And when it goes from being fuzzy to in focus, the contrast increases, it turns red, and you know it's sharp. You can take the picture. Now the Leica T, the Leica T here, when you're using it, if I just focus it like this, it doesn't do the same thing. See, it doesn't jump and make the image bigger. The image always stays small. You see that? It doesn't get big. So that makes it very difficult to focus. Now, there is a way to make it big here. You swipe it or something, it gets a little bit bigger. But the problem, which isn't really that convenient, because now you have to be moving the focus ring with one hand and then you're swiping it to make it larger. I think what they are really expecting is that you're using it in autofocus. So I was saying, so the camera has a kind of awkward way that you can make it enlarge, what you're trying to focus on, which means you have to swipe. It's not really that convenient. I'm not even sure how to do it when it's all backwards like this. But that was it. That was enlarged. But the other problem is it doesn't do the color. It doesn't turn red. It doesn't have focus peaking at all. The second version of this camera, the TL2, has it, but this TL1 does not have it. So it's really hard to focus. My eyes are very good now. I had a laser surgery done and they adjusted one eye for closeness, and I can see pretty good. I can read without glasses for the most part. Certain things I'll use glasses for, but if I'm using the phone or the iPad, I don't use glasses at all. And I put glasses on maybe 3 times a week. If I'm reading a novel or something, it's better with glasses if I'm not in good light. But it's difficult for me to focus that camera perfectly without the focus peaking. So because of those two things, the lack of focus peaking, how difficult it is to enlarge the image on the back, and the slow buffer, I'm going to sell the camera. And if you had bought the Leica version of the adapter that lets you put the Leica M lens on the Leica T body, if you bought the Leica adapter, which is $480, then when you turn this ring, it will enlarge the screen. However, I bought the adapter, which is only $60 from Photodiox. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And that one doesn't, the focus, it doesn't enlarge the screen when you turn the ring. So because of those two reasons, I'm going to sell the camera. But boy, it is a beautiful looking camera. It feels amazing. And I think the concept was kind of cool. But overall, I can't deal with a camera that I can't take pictures with and that I can't see to focus. If I can't focus and I can't take a picture, what the hell am I going to do with this thing? So I'm going to get rid of it, and I guess I'm going to end up keeping the Fuji X-E1 as a little kind of backup Leica. But look how many buttons are on this thing. Way too many buttons, right? Look at that. All these little buttons and dials. And I'd be okay with them if they were designed logically or if we needed them, but for a lot of shooting, we just don't need it. So not a big fan of it. All right, that's my thoughts on the Leica T, which is not for me. All right, thank you guys for watching. I know I came on late, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. Oh, better still, forget that. Let me know if you want to buy it. Okay, it doesn't come with the lens and it doesn't come with this adapter, but you do get an extra battery. How cool is that? Look at the cool battery. Look, it looks like the camera. See, I never saw a camera do this before. The bottom of the camera is built into the battery. How cool is that? But the battery's 140. You get this battery and an extra battery. $375, but it's New York City pickup only because I don't want to be bothered mailing it. And I'd rather you check it out in person so you don't come back to me and say, yeah, it doesn't work or some other nonsense, okay? But that's it, Leica T. Not for me. Might be for you, though. If you use their autofocus lens, then I think this camera will be worth 1,000,000 points higher if you just buy a Leica T lens for it instead of trying to put an M lens on it. So I'm trying to do something different with it than the best use of the camera. So that's why it's not for me. All right, maybe it's for you. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I will see everybody next time. Bye-bye.